Do you have a hard time staying on plan? I know staying on plan can seem like a challenge, but I have helped thousands of Trim Healthy mamas get on plan and stay on plan. And there are a lot of seemingly small things you can do to make it so much easier to stay on plan. One of those is to make sure you are building recipes into your meal plan that you enjoy. Things you look forward to. One of the things that I love about Trim Healthy Mama after being on plan for over 10 years since the original plan came out and the original plan book came out, one of the things that I have just appreciated so much is that I can look forward to what I eat and I can really, truly enjoy healthy desserts. I can enjoy the chocolate cake. I can enjoy all of the delicious foods without feeling deprived. If my meal plan looks boring and unappetizing and I'm not looking forward to eating anything on it, I am way more likely to go off plan. So one thing that I really strongly recommend to you is that you try to put recipes, put desserts, put things in your meal plan that you know you're gonna look forward to and that you're excited to eat. Now, not every single meal can be exciting. I know that. And sometimes you are relying on those quick and easy meals. If you're in boot camp with me, you've got lists and lists of those super fast, delicious, but easy meals that you can put together quickly. That's a really critical part of the plan, having those pieces in place and having those systems to follow to make your journey easier. But along with those, you should have the things, the desserts, the meals that you are really excited about. So today I'm going to very quickly, hopefully, because I have to go pick up my kids from school. I have to leave in about 10 minutes. We're going to put together what Trim Healthy Mama called ultra moist chocolate banana loaf that doesn't require any eggs. I was really excited to try this one, but I do have some cautions for you as we're putting it together. You can find this on the Trim Healthy Mama Instagram feed. I'm not sure if it's on Facebook too if you're a Facebook user, but we're gonna go ahead and put it together and just follow the directions and I'll tell you my thoughts on it as we go. So I've got my loaf pan right here and a piece of parchment paper in it. And like the directions state, I mashed up the bananas. They're a little more liquidy because they're from my freezer. My husband accidentally tossed the ripe-ish bananas, the maybe slightly overripe bananas that I was planning to use, which I had forgotten to tell him that I was planning to use them. So these are from the freezer, which always makes them a little bit more liquidy, which makes me wonder how this is gonna turn out, but we're gonna go for it anyway. So I've got 4 ripe bananas in there, and then it says to mix in all of the other ingredients. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the ground oats and a 1/4 cup of unsweetened almond milk. I like to buy this from Sam's Club. It's one of the not super expensive kinds, and it's really easy to do this Sam's Club pickup orders, so that's what I normally do. So I've got a 1/4 cup of this unsweetened almond milk. And then it calls for a 1/2 cup of dark cocoa powder. I do have some really good dark cocoa powder, but it's still packed. I know I moved in December and have not quite unpacked yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and just use regular cocoa powder because that's what I've got. I don't think it's gonna be too different. I really do like regular dark cocoa powder, but that's not what I have today. And that's really good in the cupcakes from Trim Healthy Future. If you look through the book and you find the ones that have I think they're called decadent dark cupcakes. That's what I bought my dark cocoa powder for, and I love it. So I've got my cocoa powder I'm gonna go ahead and add, and then a 1/2 cup of Gentle Sweet. This is a new package that's not open yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and rip that open and get started on my 1/2 cup of cocoa powder here. I am making a mess. I'll work on that. All right, I've got 1/2 cup of Gentle Sweet. Now, the controversial sort of ingredient, honey, I'm gonna add that later. I've got 3 tablespoons of coconut oil. It didn't say to melt it, but I always do that anyway. So I melted that. A tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Okay, 1/2 of a tablespoon of pure vanilla extract. And I'm going to be eyeballing this one because I don't have a 1/2 tablespoon measurement handy. So I will get the 1/2 tablespoon in there. Close enough, probably. Then I've got a teaspoon of baking soda and a teaspoon of baking powder. Use the handy scraper thing on the container for that. 3/4 of a teaspoon of mineral salts. And it looks like I'm gonna have to do this way because my 3/4 of a teaspoon measurement isn't there. So I've got my salt in. I'll do a 1/2 teaspoon and 1/4 teaspoon for that. And it says stevia sweetened chocolate chips to your liking. I'll just be honest, if I added enough chocolate chips to suit my liking, I would have way too many chocolate chips. This is an E recipe and those chocolate chips are an S. I don't want to cross over, so I'm going to lightly sprinkle them over the top when I'm done, kind of like what the Instagram recipe looked like. Now for the interesting part of this recipe, honey. They want you to add, how much honey is it? 1/4 cup of honey. So I'm gonna do that and we're gonna talk a little bit about honey. Honey is not something that I believe everyone is in a season for on THM. Now, when you're adding 1/4 cup, it's a little more than some of the other THM recipes, right? Because if you use honey in the ultimate E-bar recipe on THM, which is one of my very favorite E recipes of all time, I believe that's in Trim Healthy Table, the ultimate E-bars. If you use honey in that, you're getting a very, very small amount. If you use honey in the sprouted bread recipes, you're getting a very, very small amount. This does not make a huge loaf, so I think it ends up being a little bit more honey than I would normally eat. So here's what I recommend. Right now, I'm doing a superfood challenge. I've got the 10-day challenge going on. If you want to join the challenge, stay on plan for 10 days straight. You can do that at thewellplannedkitchen.com/THM10a-day. But if you are in my advanced group of coaching clients that I work with for a year or more, we're doing a superfood challenge right now too. And in that challenge, we're going through all the superfoods and we've just done honey. And what I told them about this recipe and some of the other recipes that include honey on the THM Instagram page is it's on plan. It is on plan, but it may not be your season for honey. If it's not your season for honey, and there's been a lot of discussion in the THM Facebook groups about honey and who should use it, but one of my favorite quotes, if you go to the main THM Facebook group and you search for Jessica Myers, who's one of the all-star fantastic admins that THM has, and look for some of her quotes on honey. She has said before that there are different seasons for using honey on THM. It may not be your time to go hog wild with the honey if you're in weight loss mode. So what I recommended to my clients is if this is going to be something that you really look forward to and want to try, or maybe you're using honey on occasion for medicinal purposes, go ahead and make it. What I'm planning to do if my kids don't eat all of this is I'm going to have a small slice and then I'm going to slice the rest and freeze it in individual slices. That way I know that I'm not going to be having honey daily or even for the next few weeks. I'll have some frozen to grab for a sweet treat that I can look forward to at another time. And I'll have a slice now to enjoy what I've just made. Along with that, I just want to mention, if you're trying to gain weight with THM, honey's awesome. If you are trying to maintain, incorporating a little more honey is okay. I have some of my clients who we've gotten to goal weight and now they're maintaining and they have a drizzle of honey on their breakfast in the morning over their e-toast. That's okay. But my stubborn weight mamas, the ones that I'm working with long-term who may be working a little bit more on some stubborn weight issues, we usually don't use honey. And that's where I would say this can be an occasional treat. And if you freeze a lot of it, that's okay. If you're getting really tiny amounts, like in the Ultimate E-bars, that's more where I'd say that's your lane for honey. As a certified THM coach, that's my opinion. Something like this every great once in a while is also gonna be okay. I just recommend not overdoing it. I'm not planning to have a ton of this. It's something that I'll have for you know, one slice now, and if my kids don't want to eat the rest of it, I'll be freezing the rest, just to make sure I don't overdo it. And you may decide that honey's not for you right now in weight loss mode at all. A lot of times when we're dealing with stubborn weight issues, I will recommend, let's just skip the honey for a little bit and maybe come back to it in a different season. It's totally up to you. If this isn't the dessert that you make to look forward to, there are tons of options. There are tons of amazing THM options that don't include honey, that you don't even have to think twice about, that you can eat often and enjoy without even having to really put any thought into it. So that might be something you decide to do, but the point is, please make sure that you are looking forward to recipes that you will really enjoy, that you've got those sweet treats planned out that are on your meal plan, like the THM Twixter bar is one of my very favorites that you can enjoy regularly. If you are in a season of stubborn loss, find more FP desserts. And that's something that I've got huge lists of FP desserts in Bootcamp, but look at your glucose puddings, things like that, and just have a wise, balanced approach to weight loss on THM with a good mix of desserts, not just relying on heavy S's either. So I've got this banana batter in this recipe, again, in this loaf pan, sorry. Again, this is an E recipe. So I'm going to very cautiously sprinkle some chocolate chips over the top. I'll show you. I lined the loaf pan with parchment paper. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of the chocolate chips over the top. Getting some of those in there should not create a crossover, but I am going to stick to small slices of this just to be really sure that I'm not crossing over. If you're in a season where you're maintaining or nursing or trying to gain weight, definitely you could have more and have that crossover and not even think twice about it. So here it is. I'm gonna put it in the oven and I will show you when it's done.